Jack it up. Jack it up. Jack it up. Jack it up.
Sandusky is with us, and Deputy Chief McCollum is going to do an introduction.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Kelly Sandusky has been with the police department for 28 years and has been in various elements throughout her career. Ms. Sandusky has been assigned to the communications unit for 11 years and most recently has taken over the role as lead call taker training class instructor. Ms. Sandusky has revolutionized this program by creating a curriculum and environment of success. When she took over this program, the overall success rate was under 10% to where it is today, which is over 80%. So we wanted to honor her with providing the Pledge of Allegiance today.
Thank you. Let's all stand.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everybody to remain standing, and Chaplain Jeremy Eubanks is going to say our invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, thanking you for the men and women who are public servants of our city. We thank you for this board and for Chief Graves and the command staff. We pray for wisdom for this body as they make decisions concerning the best path forward for Kansas City. We pray for an end to the violence that has plagued this city. May the decisions that are made here lead to peace and safety for all our citizens. We pray that you'll continue to bless our officers as they seek the benefit of their fellow citizens. We ask that you protect them from all evil and any who would wish them harm. We thank you for those who serve as professional staff as they are integral in the support of the collective good. We pray for an increase of people willing to serve the city, be it in officers or call takers or dispatchers. We ask for continued wisdom in every encounter. We pray for their success because their success is a blessing to our community. May your presence go before them. May your goodness cover them. Bless this body with wisdom, humility, leadership, and unity. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, I'd like to take a moment and introduce our new commissioner today, Commissioner Boswell, Scott Boswell. And we're so excited to have him with us. We have put him the last, I think, week or so. He's been out visiting as many departments as possible. And do you want to share about your experience for a second? And we're just so happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
Well, Commissioner Kramer, I'm thrilled to be here. And first, Chief, you and your leadership team have been unbelievably welcoming, and I appreciate that very, very much. I've learned so much in a very short period of time, and I know there's much yet to learn. So, and I'm certainly honored to serve with all of you.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Okay. City Council, Mayor's designee. I think the mayor's actually going to speak. He's walking in. Oh, is he? Okay.
Madam Chair, apologies for the delay, although it feels like a special Law and Order episode where the witness comes in and changes the entire case. I will do the presentation this morning. I apologize for moving around a bit. I'll be at the funeral for Sarah Milgram, the Johnson County native who was killed last week with a companion outside of a Jewish cultural event in Washington, D.C. I think if we're ever reminded of the hate that exists around us, that situation certainly shows it. So we'll go there on behalf of the people of Kansas City to show it. A few brief things that I give as an update to you because I won't be able to be with you all later. First, I will address the protest march that happened in Kansas City this weekend. I think the department and its communications unit provided, I find, a thorough statement in terms of what was not a police department engagement. Individuals have the right to come to our city and say just about anything under the sun. And what this department will do is make sure that everyone in our community is safe. There was no escorting by KCPD. There was no prior planning. I didn't know about it. Police chief didn't know about it coming. None of us knew about it coming. And I stand against hate. I believe everybody in this department and on this board stands against hate in all of its forms. And to me, that is the full extent of it. And so there have been some questions on First Amendment and all of that, but what I've learned from this department, and we have all been near, and you all far more than me, a number of different protest actions of all different types. This department will make sure that folks' constitutional rights are upheld and allow for the discourse in the public to exist as it will exist. I denounce these comments. Other people disagree with me. Other people have totally different things to say. But I think it's important to make clear there was no escorting. There was no action by KCPD to further any type of action this weekend. They were just officers out doing their jobs. One other thing I want to make sure I note and want to continue to commend is the enforcement action relating to street racing, ATVs, and others. We hear from a lot of different voices in our community. There are many who have been clamoring for this for some time. There are many others who seem to have qualms with the department enforcing the laws. Let me just be kind of clear here. This board, certainly our officers, are not lawmakers, right? They don't make the rules that are to be enforced, but they do have the duty to enforce them. And everyone here swears an oath to make sure they're enforced. Among the laws that are violations of the law in the state of Missouri and the Code of Ordinances relates to those who obstruct traffic, those who create some of the dangers we've seen, and we have seen deaths at some of these street racing events. We've seen homicides, shootings, lots of activities. This is not just naive engagement of some kids doing something wrong. This is a problem, and it's a problem that we all need to make sure we continue to address. I thank the department for addressing it. I think it has been a strong and bold action. As the chief has noted, it will continue until such time as the problem doesn't exist. And I will stand by the department fully as they continue to do that. Two other brief things that I promised Commissioner Kramer. I'll get out of the way and let everyone else have their fun. We have talked about traffic light issues before, or speed cameras, other things, red light cameras. I know we'll continue to study that to see first how we can do it in light of prior Missouri court precedent in connection with it, but then also working with this department. Folks may not understand, but we have a hardworking traffic unit that we ask to do a lot of things. The aforementioned street racing issues, speeding everywhere, anytime a big figure, dignitary comes through. There's a lot of work that they're doing each and every day. Whatever we would do is to try to make sure that we're supporting their operations, not overburdening them. And then there's also a resolution at City Council relating to police visibility with Blue Crews lights. That's something that's done in other jurisdictions. I understand there's a cost. All types of things. We'll work together on that. But generally, I want to thank the department for their efforts to address longstanding public safety issues in our community. And I've been asked this back to the original topic. Somebody said to me, well, if X or Y group wants to come and share something next week, can they? The answer is yes. We always ask that you give us a call. I have a personal preference for those who look to get parade permits. It's just a lot easier for everyone, but I understand some don't. But nonetheless, people get to have their rights here in Kansas City. It doesn't mean that that I won't denounce them, that I won't speak against them, but this department will make sure that everybody gets to exist safely in Kansas City. So thank you for letting me share all of that. I owe you a jail update because you always ask. We have issued an RFP on the large jail discussion at City Council. There was also a passed resolution directing staff to look at the temporary jail facility, something that's based on modular units. There's this group outside of Springfield, Missouri that does that. We gave the city manager 30 days. My preference is just drive down there, 3.5 hours, see how much it costs, see how quickly we could do it. I'd get the deputy chief to drive me down. I know we'd have a good time and figure it all out. But we'll go through the proper steps to make sure that all works. But I expect we'll have better answers for you in our June meeting. Thank you and welcome,
Thank you
Commissioner.
so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
We appreciate that. Love hearing those updates, and I love the fact that we're moving on it. So thank you. Jackson County Prosecutor Melissa Johnson, welcome.
Good morning, President Kramer. Commissioner Boswell, it's very nice to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better. Of course, Mayor, the rest of the board, and Chief Graves, good morning. A few updates from the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. As we all know, if it wasn't last week, it was the week before. I'm sorry, time just runs away from me these days. But we recently had National Police Memorial Week in our country, and we obviously celebrated in a number of ways here locally in our metropolitan area. I hate that I missed you all at KCPD's memorial service, but I did get a chance to deliver the keynote remarks at the Independence Police Department memorial service. And then in preparation for that speech, I learned that according to the FBI, from 2021 to 2023, more officers were feloniously killed in this country than any other consecutive 3-year period in the last 20 years. Now, no matter how you feel about policing, I, of course, am always going to lean into ways that we can collectively do criminal justice better. But no matter where you fall on the spectrum, these statistics are beyond concerning. They are startling, and frankly, they are unacceptable. And so a couple of case updates in that regard. We had a defendant a couple of weeks ago plead guilty for a vehicle hijacking, armed criminal action, aggravated fleeing, and first-degree assault on a law enforcement officer for firing 2 rounds towards officers. He was sentenced to 18 years in the Department of Corrections. We also recently had a trial where we tried an individual for assault on a law enforcement officer. We had 2 assistant prosecuting attorneys, Luke Alsobrook and Gerald Jackson, that worked extremely hard on this case. And we always have rhetoric in this space about sometimes being willing to take a chance, go to trial, see things through, and that's exactly what these 2 attorneys did. The jury came back on assault in the 2nd degree, and I'll admit we were not completely thrilled with that result, but unfortunately juries can be a little unpredictable sometimes. But I'm really proud of the work of these 2 APAs, and we were able to get 5 years in the Department of Corrections for this incident that happened at Constantino's and involved a chair. The suspect hit the police officer over the head with the chair. We also have charged a man for his involvement in a fatal shooting that occurred in April at a liquor store on 9th and Prospect that stemmed from an alleged gun theft in the middle of the day in broad daylight. This individual was charged with second-degree murder, first-degree attempted robbery, and armed criminal action, and now faces 10 to 30 years in prison. Also, this year to date, well, at least as of last Tuesday, we have charged 10 cases under Blair's Law. And coming off of a holiday weekend, we want to continue to remind the residents of Jackson County and Kansas City more specifically that celebratory gunfire does have consequences. What goes up must come down, and we are certainly interested in charging more of those offenses. As promised the last time that I was here, I will have monthly updates with you all with some of high-level explanation of our charging statistics for the month prior. In April, we charged right around 70% of all cases submitted to us, which is a bit lower than March, but as of May 12th of this month, we are back up to 74%, and we'll continue to watch those statistics in real time to make sure that we are hitting our marks. Lastly, I want to thank Chief Graves for inviting myself and members of my office to join your constitutional training, police training last week. We were able to come to the police academy, answer a couple of questions, obviously show our form of solidarity and partnership with the department. And that actually marks, I believe, the second joint-ish training that our offices have done together since I've taken office. We also did a 3-session search warrant training between assistant prosecutors and the detectives that they are called to work with. And so definitely want to thank Chief Graves for bringing us into the fold. We will continue to do so, vice versa. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
So I would just like to say thank you so much for supporting our officers and sharing that information with us, because that's really important, and that's important for everybody to know, and that helps with our confidence, because as we know, like you said, during those times, there's been, it's at least felt like, and statistically it agrees with that officers have had targets on their backs out there. And I'm glad we're sending a loud message that this is not okay. So thank you for that. I just want to say I really appreciate that. Absolutely. Any other comments or questions?
Madam Chair, I'll just say very briefly, thank you, Madam Prosecutor. I respect everyone I've been able to work with over all my years in this position. That being said, I think your start has been an exceptional and a strong one. I appreciate you particularly sharing the end of the process, the sentences that you've been able to receive on things including property crimes, the enforcement actions that you're taking on things including traffic issues, and certainly aggravated assaults and homicides. I think sometimes it is not known in our community that there are serious consequences that the county prosecutor in Jackson County will take, and the steps that you are all taking. I encourage you to continue to share it. And I will say this, and I've shared this with the chief as well. When we start taking more enforcement actions, and I get to see it, because some of the bad actors actually get in my comments, they talk to me. I know you get a chance to deal with it too. And I actually take it probably with more levity than I should, because what that means is the message is getting out there that you, the Chief Graves, and the department are taking things very seriously, and that a lot of the bad acts that we have probably seen going on for too long won't continue forever. So thank you. Thank you to your assistant prosecutors, and please keep that up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, general discussion. Chief Graves.
Good morning. I might be a little bit long-winded this morning, so I apologize. Thank you so much, Mayor, for your comments. I appreciate it. Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Boswell. The members of our organization have been engaged. I've got to say over the last, especially this last 30 to 60 days, I'm not saying it was any less before, but I'm just saying we continue to move forward in a productive and progressive way, and I couldn't be more thankful. So this morning, I'm just going to give you a couple highlights. Thanks to the Kansas City Police Foundation in April, we kicked off Peregrine. So Peregrine is a program that brings all of our data into one platform to greatly improve data-driven deployment of KCPD and provide enhanced data-informed community engagement, which is strengthening the strategy of our KCPD crime plan. It's anticipated to be fully functional this summer, late summer. Also, thanks to the Kansas City Police Foundation, who held their annual call for backup in February to support the purchase of drones as first responders program. We took delivery of our first drone and the first Nest, I guess is what it's called. And the program is in the works, and we'll have more information and announcements to come. We held our fourth Save KC call-in, messaging those involved or associated with gun violence in Kansas City as part of our Focus Deterrence Initiative. Almost all attendees sought out assistance and resources to change the trajectory of their lives with the intent of moving away from being involved in or associated with violent crime. We held a press conference to bring awareness to domestic violence homicides in our city. We let survivors know that there's a lifeline, that there's a help, and that abusers will be met with enforcement and accountability, which that message was reinforced by Prosecutor Melissa Johnson. Our Violent Crimes and Special Investigations Division conducted a week-long violent crime initiative that yielded impressive results. And it's important to have these types of initiatives before the weather turns warm as a show of enforcement and to continue our efforts in holding those accountable who are harming our city with either gun violence, or drugs. Deputy Chief Niemeyer will provide further detail in his presentation. As you noted, Mayor, we escalated our enforcement and strategy to stop dangerous activities involving street racing, sideshows, and illegal motorbikes and ATVs converging in areas throughout our city. We'll continue to escalate enforcement until the message is received and the lawless behavior ceases. The escalation of enforcement includes more work towards legislation to ensure bad actors are held accountable and face significant consequences. And I thank the members who are working on mandatory overtime to ensure that the city streets are safe. We celebrated Telecommunications Appreciation Week and started May with 6 new call takers and a shocking increase in applications for our communications unit. We are, in fact, having to put more resources to ensure that we can process those applicants as quickly as possible. We graduated a class of new officers in April and started a new class in May with the size and number of recruits that hasn't been seen for many years. The large class that started this January will graduate in August. In the same month of August, we'll start another recruit class. Help is on the way. That's what I keep telling our officers. Help is on the way. Our recruiters are here today in the back and are hard at work at all places, sharing the benefits of serving Kansas City at KCPD with various career opportunities. And in April, I joined our recruiters in a 30 by 30 event at Park University, which is to increase the number of female officers by 30% by 2030. Thanks to the support of the Kansas City Police Foundation, we began our in-person constitutional police training last week, as mentioned by Prosecutor Melissa Johnson. Deputy Chief Ortiz will provide more information in his presentation. Obviously, we also welcomed a new Board of Police Commissioner, Scott Boswell, and we are thankful to be present at your confirmation. These mentions are just a fraction of the work being carried out by our members. We continue to be engaged in our communities in Kansas City. From North Lane neighborhoods to South Kansas City Alliance, we're truly invested in the betterment, safety, and health of our city. And with that, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Okay, great job. Okay.
Can I just say one thing? That Commissioner Boswell, I do this too much. I'll just let you know. Been an interesting 5 years in America and in law enforcement and policing. But what I am focused on right now is 2025, and I just want to thank you. The officer hiring numbers being up, call taker numbers being up, the amount of engagement that you have in our community. It is not easy to be a major metropolitan police department. It's not easy to be leadership in them. And I have seen all of you up here be strained. I have seen you under challenges, and I see us persevering right now. I'm proud of the work that the Kansas City Police Department's doing. I'm proud of your recruiters getting people out there who are interested in this job. Perhaps there were chats that some of us had years ago wondering if there would be people in the future who wanted to be. And so thank you for all of that. And now you're just going to be victims of your own success because you're getting such big classes. Will last for even bigger and bigger, and I know you'll all be able to deliver, but it's appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that teamwork.
Madam President, just a comment. Chief, great work, great report. I'd just like to stress the importance of battling misinformation. There are still, despite our efforts to communicate what we do, the increased class sizes, the call taker graduation and those sizes, there's still quite a few folks out there who just either they don't hear it, they're not getting it. So we just have to remain diligent in getting out the good news. Because the reality is that one of our roles is to win over the hearts and minds of just the general public out there, so they really understand the phenomenal work that the PD is doing. And despite, we in this room, you know, we're part of the family, right? So we know and we understand, but there are still those who don't, maybe they're not hearing the news clips, or they're not getting the information, but the misinformation issue, I just think it's rampant, and I think it's very dangerous. So I would just say, and I know I know Jake leads a great communications team, but we just have to remain diligent in getting that good word out. I can't understate that.
I couldn't agree with you more. To include some of the information that came out over the weekend, you know, and we are prepared to discuss in detail, Deputy Chief Maben, of what occurred over the weekend and to try to clear some of that misinformation. But we will continue to be steadfast in continuing to message, even if we sound like a broken record, that way that some way maybe someone can catch that at a certain time, whether it be social media, whether it be something on the news, or some other way that even our members can just message out in their own circles and groups. It is a constant frustration here, because us in this family know all of the hard work that the men and women do on this police department day in and day out. Like I said, even mandatory overtime, ensuring that the situation over the weekend had a peaceful resolution and was de-escalated. You know, just all of those different things. And I point taken, understood, and we will stay steadfast in that mission.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, and along those lines, I have to tell you, my 21-year-old son came to me and he said, wow, he goes, they made 19 arrests in that street racing. So the message is getting out there, because I didn't share with him anything. And I was like, wow, he's paying attention for a 21-year-old. So I was very impressed that we definitely are getting that message out there. So.
May I add to this, and I obviously have great respect for the First Amendment, but I think to Commissioner Romeus's point, what sometimes becomes most astonishing to me isn't just one person on social media saying whatever they are, it is our institutional media partners, where I think the department works very hard to share open, honest, and collaborative information, and we see outright falsehoods. We see incredible twists of statements in others. And don't get me wrong, I'm getting dragged somewhere every day. I understand it's part of the job, this department is too. The one very simple thing that I think is fair to ask is if there are facts in connection with the situation, that those facts be shared. This department invests a lot in making sure that we have communicators to share those points. And yeah, you can't control what everybody in the peanut gallery is saying, but institutions that have been working with this department for generations, I will say at times I expect better. And I know we'll continue to try to convey that point. And Chief, I'll ask you where those issues happen, because I know your rank and file officers and others can't necessarily do that pushback, but some of the rest of us can. And I say it with the greatest respect to our media organizations. Opinion is opinion. They have every right. But where there are facts that can be shared, where the people of Kansas City want to understand the how and the why, and where we share it, I think it is worthwhile. And in case I'm seeming too ambiguous, I won't talk about a particular recent situation. I take us back to a situation where we had an offender who raised a firearm at the police some years ago. That story gained like wildfire. There were reports in the official press that said police did this, that, or the other. There were images, photos, and others that said that was not accurate in the slightest. That was incredibly frustrating. It was very disappointing, particularly at a time in our community when there were many people on edge. And that makes it harder for all of us to be able to do our jobs. So please let us know where that happens. We will continue to share that with them, because it's frustrating seeing that happen now. I think it's a disservice to the people of Kansas City, everyone watching, and we want to make sure that, look, where we need to be called out, we can be, but where there are real issues and facts, those need to be known.
Thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it. In fact, we do have a situation right now where, where there was some misinformation on a couple different fronts. I do want the board to know that our media unit does take those things seriously, and we do ask for corrections. And whether those actions are taken are beyond us, obviously, but that's something that we are actively engaged in and monitor.
Thank you. Okay, Investigations Bureau, Deputy Chief Niemeyer.
Good morning. My items will be under tab A in your board book. But before we go through those items, I'd like to address an enforcement initiative that the chief just mentioned. We initiated this April the 28th through May the 2nd. During that initiative, there were 96 people who were arrested across the city for both federal, state, and city charges and warrants. 157 total warrants were cleared, 10 federal, 68 state warrants, and 79 city warrants. We issued 89 new charges. 11 of those were federal, 34 were state, and 44 were city. 4 people were wanted in relation to homicide cases that were arrested. 24 handguns were recovered. As you can see by the next slide, a large amount of narcotics were taken just during that week. We, along with the DEA during that week, also did the drug take-back, which yielded over 901 pounds of miscellaneous drugs that were turned in to be destroyed. All of this coincided with a week-long ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, operation with the FBI that was called Operation Restore Justice, and arrests were made against individuals who committed crimes or were attempting to commit crimes or have committed crimes against children over the internet. So it was a very successful week. I want to thank Major Buck, all of our federal partners, detectives, folks in SID, detectives in violent crime. Everybody came together to make those numbers happen, and that was a week-long initiative. It takes a lot to put an initiative like that together and coordinate. So thank you very much to the folks in the Investigations Bureau. The next item is the blue sheet. As you can see, in 2025, we currently have 63 homicides compared to 55 at the same time last year. In 2025, we have cleared 32 homicides, 13 homicides from the previous year, for a total of 45 cases for a 71% clearance rate. I will tell you that number will increase significantly as we have identified suspects in a number of cases that have not yet been charged but will be charged. In April, we had 12 homicides. Of those, 7 of those have identified suspects, 4 were cleared, 3 of those cases are solved, meaning we know who the suspect, but they are not cleared yet because that suspect has not been arrested, and 4 are open for investigation. A breakdown of April homicides by division. Center Zone had 0 homicides in April. Metro had 2. East Patrol had 6. North Patrol had 1. South Patrol 2. And Shoal Creek had 1. We currently have had 13 homicides for the month of May. Our non-shooting comparison report, January the 1st to May the 22nd, we have had 112 non-fatal shooting victims. In 2024, we had 235 victims at the same time. So we've had a 52% decrease in non-fatal shootings compared to last year. As you can see on the screen, April 2025, we had 27 non-fatal shootings. April 2024, we had 48, which is a 44% decrease for just the month of April. And as always, I like to do some case updates on significant events that have happened. And in the month of April, as many of you know, it started with the ATV case downtown. And last month, we had an officer who was assaulted by an individual who was riding an illegal ATV downtown. The assault squad was able to identify that suspect and obtain a Jackson County warrant for his arrest. The suspect's family helped the suspect elude the department for a few weeks and was eventually located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We're very thankful for the fugitive unit in the FBI of Colorado Springs area who worked with our career criminal unit in apprehending this individual. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office also worked with us and filed charges on the suspect's father and girlfriend for obstruction of justice. I commend Deputy Chief Maben and all of PBO and all the officers and the detectives that have been working on these street racing issues in the last weeks. We've, the plan that he and his staff has put together and the detectives that work the backside of that, I think is starting to make a difference. The second major issue I'd like to address is the property crimes. Our property crimes unit has diligently worked this past month with not only on predatory tow companies in conjunction with Missouri DOR and the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. We are still working through those cases and the large amount of documents to assist any and all possible victims. There have been several state charges filed against the owners and employees of these companies, and we continue to work this case to see what additional charges we'll be filing. So that is the case updates that I have. And I'd just like to conclude my presentation with, lastly, I want to talk about a couple ladies that work in the Investigations Bureau office. This past month, Pam Bear, who you all know, who hands out the blue sheet, assisted putting on another successful care team golf tournament, which raises funds to assist our officers when they're in a time of assistance. This is the 23rd year that she has coordinated that golf tournament to help us. So I also want to thank, there's lots of volunteers, but I get a firsthand look at all the work that she does to put that golf tournament on. And I know there's people that are sitting at this table. Deputy Chief McCollum is there and a lot of folks. But I just want to say thank you to Pam for what she did this past month to put that on. And then lastly, this was the month, and I just want to say this past week she was gone, but Sergeant King competed in the Women's Cowboy Mounted Shooters National event, which she was the national champion last year. This year we showed up just slightly short and finished second, but that's pretty darn impressive to be finished second as the ladies 2 national championship. So we're proud of her. So all the ladies in the Investigations Bureau office did a good job this past month on things. So luckily she has to leave early today, so I won't see her the rest of the day. So that's good for me. Yeah. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Last year you had pictures to share of the national championship. No pictures this
We
year.
did. We did. I didn't put those up this year, but yes, we did have those last year, and I thought we better just stick with saying it.
Not a question, but an observation, and it goes to Commissioner Romis's point about communication. Thank you for your report. The illustration there is there's a lot of work going on at the same time, Chief, as you mentioned about the effort in the mandatory overtime downtown on the street racing, and the comments that we receive are, why are you focusing on that and not on these other things? And if we could just say it every day so that Kansas City knows we are focusing on everything. And your report illustrates that. So I really do appreciate the updates on the cases and the other efforts that we have that are in addition to and not just the highlights that the chief gave, because there's a lot going on. We're making great progress, and the public needs to hear that those other things are happening, and we're not backing away from any of our other efforts to focus on some of these more urgent needs. So thank you.
Thank you for that point. It's good, it's good for people to know we have officers that are working homicides simultaneously when we have officers out working street racers, that are working domestic violence cases, that are answering calls for service, which is why we look forward to increasing our numbers to make sure that we're even in more places.
100%. We've got great strategy. We just need more people to help implement. Great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have a question. Thank you for that report. Great report. Congratulations. And this may be for you, Deputy Chief Niemeyer, maybe for you, Deputy Chief Maben, but I believe it's been reported in the media that we have had, or we're going to have, an influx of federal officers in Kansas City. Is that accurate? And if so, how are they coordinating and working with our folks? Can you share anything with us on that, or was that misrepresented in the media?
We have gotten word that, federal agents are being distributed across the United States. We anticipate some of those agents being assigned to Kansas City, and we look forward to them and welcome them, as we have a great relationship with the FBI and all of our federal partners, which isn't necessarily shared in such a way in other places throughout the United States.
Okay, thank you,
I don't have a
Chief.
number or anything like that, but yeah, we will.
But there is some expectation that the Kansas City area will receive some of those agents.
I think
maybe
there's
a
definitely
short-term-
assumption.
Short-term basis to come in and, of course, work with us on or how they can supplement any needs we may have. Is that what may be occurring?
Yeah, we're in contact with the FBI daily. So, at least our detectives and the agents at that level are daily. We speak to the head of the Kansas City FBI, and as the chief said, we don't have a permanent number. They're not going to be assigned to us. They're not assigned to the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. They're coming to their field office. They're coming to the FBI field office, which in turn, for them, is like us having a big academy class. They're going to get additional manpower, and we hope that some of that is directed to assist us.
Excellent. Thanks for putting some light on that. I just know that was reported, and I have received some questions about it, so it's good to get that out there, that your comment about they're basically being assigned to their field office and not to us, and that has not yet been determined, the number or the volume of those folks.
Well, it hasn't been reported to us. That'd be something.
It has not been reported.
Yeah, it hasn't been a specific number, and I wouldn't expect it. Well, no FBI is assigned per se to our department. We work in conjunction with, so that would be up to them on where those agents are placed. So and I'm sure we will get some assistance from them. They've been a partner of ours for years and years.
I think that's the important message, is they are a partner of ours for years and years, and we interface with them daily. So, thank you.
Okay. Patrol Bureau Deputy Chief Maben.
Good morning. I'll begin my report by highlighting some Patrol Bureau notable events from the past reporting period. Then I will present the median response time report and conclude with the report from the Traffic Division. The Community Engagement Division participated in KC Common Good and KC 360's Business 360 event at Union Station. The goal of this initiative is to connect local businesses with valuable resources to address crime. CED informed attendees about current department initiatives and provided resource referrals. They will continue to engage with Business 360 as it builds partnerships and develops strategies to promote safety and security in Kansas City. Metro Patrol Division Community Interaction Officers met with a property manager and staff at Victoria Arms Apartments. They discussed crime prevention, community policing, and also completed a Tier 1 CPTED survey. And South Patrol Division CIOs conducted 2 community walks following homicides that occurred at 98th and Marsh and 102nd and Fremont. The CIOs canvassed the area, spoke with neighborhood residents, and conducted outreach. The Police Athletic League had 1,900 visits during the month of April, with an average of 89 visits each day. They also had 33 new enrollments. PAL Boxing hosted the Battle in the Northeast Part 3. This event featured over 20 matches, showcasing amateur boxers from across the metro area, including 4 PAL boxers. This was the largest event PAL Boxing has hosted to date, and the Battle in the Northeast has become a premier boxing event in the region. PAL also held their annual Easter egg hunt. With assistance from members from the Youth Advisory Board, PAL students stuffed candy into hundreds of Easter eggs and hid them in the PAL garden for kids to find. PAL also provided families with gently used clothing items, hygiene products, and various household essentials during the event. And not to be outdone, the school resource officers at Southeast High School organized an Easter event they called Southeaster, where the students wore dress clothes and participated in the school-wide Easter egg hunt. The Southeast SROs also worked with the school staff to implement a new after-school dismissal process. This process will make the afternoon dismissal more fluid and safer for the students. Westside Can Center participated in Kansas City Earth Day cleanup events, where 25 volunteers cleaned up 15 neighborhood blocks on the west side. They also partnered with several nonprofit organizations to release 24,000 bees into the West Side Community Orchard. This will create higher fruit yields for the orchard and also increase yields in other vegetable gardens in the neighborhood. And last but not least, Officer Chato Villalobos was awarded the Urban Hero Award by the Downtown Council for his work to strengthen neighborhoods and improve the quality of life for residents in the community. The helicopter section flew 76 hours and responded to 144 calls for service during the reporting period. They assisted with 6 missing juvenile calls for service, 4 shootings, 2 sounds of shots, and 1 robbery. They also assisted in 9 vehicle pursuits and followed 6 other vehicles that refused to stop for officers. They participated in several community events, including KCPD's Bring Your Kid to Work Day. And finally, the bomb and arson section responded to multiple fire-related events, including 7 arsons. They also responded to 2 calls for service involving suspected IEDs or military devices. Bomb and arson K-9 teams conducted 20 bomb sweeps at various events and locations. And they also participated in 2 community engagement events and toured the Metadata Center campus. Moving on to median response times. The median response time for Priority 1 calls for service during the month of April was 8 minutes and 27 seconds. That's a 14-second increase compared to March. However, it's a 20-second decrease compared to April 2024. The median response time for Priority 2 calls was 10 minutes and 39 seconds. That's an 8-second increase compared to March, but again, it's a 31-second decrease compared to April 2024. So we're continuing to show improvement in response times compared to 2024. There were 1,488 traffic accidents citywide in April 2025. That's a 10% increase compared to the previous month. However, it's virtually the same number of accidents as April 2024. We typically see increases in number of accidents during the spring and summer months as more people are out on the roads. There were 7 fatal crashes during the month of April. And from January to the end of April, there were 18 fatal crashes with a total of 20 victims. That's a 47% decrease in the number of fatalities compared to the same period last year. Of the fatal accidents in April, 2 were hit and runs. A suspect has been identified in one of those crashes, and the case file will be presented upon completion. The second hit and run is currently unsolved. The other 5 crashes were exceptionally cleared with the death of the culpable party. The department as a whole issued about 5,400 traffic tickets during the reporting period and just under 20,000 tickets year to date. That's a 2% increase compared to the previous month and a 14% increase compared to the previous year. When looking at impaired driving enforcement specifically, the DUI section conducted 9 Wolfpack operations in April with a combined total of 161 traffic stops. They issued 144 tickets and made 38 DUI arrests. There were an additional 80 DUI arrests not associated with Wolfpacks, bringing the total number of DUI arrests department-wide to 118 for the month. Last month, I mentioned a traffic division conducted a move-over enforcement operation in March. They conducted a second operation in April. This one was also successful. They conducted 171 traffic stops and issued a total of 129 tickets for traffic violations. 39 of which were for the move over ordinance. Also want to mention the members of our commercial vehicle enforcement squad who work hard to keep highways safe. They conducted a total of 384 commercial vehicle inspections during the reporting period and noted over 1,100 federal safety violations. These violations are reported to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, who reviews the reports and then assesses fines ranging from $1,000 to $16,000 per violation. They can also suspend dangerous drivers and shut down unsafe trucking companies. And I want to report on the citywide sideshow enforcement operations we conducted on May 16th. That night, officers arrested 19 suspects, towed 36 vehicles, and issued 76 citations related to stunt driving, sideshows, and street takeovers. They also recovered 5 firearms. I want to thank the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Jackson and Clay County Sheriff's Offices, and the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department for their assistance in the operations. We have additional operations scheduled, and we will continue to enforce on those who try to hijack our streets. And before I conclude, I would like to thank the mayor for his remarks earlier regarding our response to the march this weekend, and also want to set the record straight on what took place. So first, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department in no way supports the views of the white supremacist group that marched in our city. I personally find them abhorrent. As a member of KCPD, we have sworn to support and uphold the Constitution, and that includes the First Amendment. And we also have a duty to keep the peace. We had no advance knowledge that up to 150 white supremacists were going to march in our city. However, once we arrived, we also saw on social media posts that suggested there were counter-protesters responding to the area, and that's always a safety concern. So therefore, in an attempt to de-escalate the situation, it was best that the members of the group left the area. And other than riding in the back of a U-Haul, we were unaware of any other laws that they violated. So I can understand the public's concern, and I hope this explanation provides a little more context to what took place. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Maybe just a couple of follow-up. It seems like there were fewer arrests last weekend for the street racing, and that would be an indication that our message is getting out there, and fewer ATVs and motorcycles are causing the disruption downtown or in the entertainment district. Is that a fair assessment?
I'm cautiously optimistic that that's the case.
Okay.
I will say
I won't jinx this.
I will say the previous weekend, we had intelligence that it was going to be a group of individuals from out of state also coming to street race and do side shows in our area. And so that's one of the reasons we had stepped up enforcement then. So yes, it was less enforcement action taken this weekend. We're going to stay on it, full court press, but we'll continue to respond appropriately.
Thank you. Not a question, but an observation. I was at the World War I Museum and Memorial when that march began, and I just want to thank the department for the presence as they left World War I grounds and started making their way downtown. There was a moment where I thought this could go in a bad way, and it did not. So really appreciate the attention and the nuance in how that was handled. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? Well, thank you, and again, appreciate you informing us on everything that's happening. I'm optimistic that we are sending a message, so we really appreciate that, and we appreciate you de-escalating the others, because we don't want to give that any energy to go south on us. So I'm grateful and thankful that ended peacefully, so thank you for your great work.
I'd just like to make a quick comment. Just excellent job, because that could have gone, if it were not for the professionalism of our team, that could have gone in a different direction. That would have snowballed. And just excellent work in managing that and having the officers in place and providing that for those who are hearing that on the news or observing that downtown, that police presence there just provides that level of security and safety, that these are folks who are protesting, and there's nothing illegal about protesting violently, safely, but yet the officers are there in case something were to happen. So thank you for that. Excellent job. I do have a follow-up question and kind of tying in with something that the mayor stated about the street racing. Are we finding that we need to look at some legislative solutions on stiffening some penalties around that? And is that something that maybe we can take some leadership in and trying to advocate for with our policymakers? Is that happening? Or was that a true statement that he was maybe implying, that we're doing what we can do given the current laws on the books? But
Right,
it's more
so
than that.
locally, we do have a few more tools that came online at the end of the last year that we are using. One of those is a stepped-up towing fees to get their car back based off the first, second, third time that a car gets towed. And so these administrative fees, we're just now starting to see the impact of those. There was some state legislation that was passed this previous legislative section that hasn't taken effect yet, that will affect some street racing. Ultimately, it would be great if we can seize and forfeit some of the vehicles involved, and the mayor mentioned that in our previous board meeting. And so we do have some additional tools, but there's always further that we could support.
I believe anything that has been signed by the governor in the state would take effect, August 28th? Would that be correct? There's no emergency clause on that.
Correct.
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your great work. You and your team, you and your people.
Okay, Administrative Bureau, Deputy Chief Ortiz.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, thank you for the opportunity to provide you with this update. I will briefly cover three key areas: staffing, recruitment, and community engagement initiatives through our police academy and crime scene laboratory. Before diving into our staffing update, I'd like to invite Captain Justin Pinkerton from our recruitment unit to provide a brief overview of our recruitment process.
Thank you, Colonel. As the Colonel said, I'm Captain Pinkerton. I've been assigned to the employment unit for coming up on a year and a half now. What we do in the employment unit, we do the law enforcement hiring, but we also hire for the 109 roughly professional staff positions. Before I got there, I had no clue we had that many. I have learned an absolute ton in this current assignment, and I've really enjoyed it so far. Some numbers for you. So our law enforcement testing numbers in 2022 were 213. That was for the entire year. For 2023, 239. In 2024, 457. And in 2025, year to date, we're at 246. So we've already beaten 2022 and 2023's year-end totals in 5 months. Our professional staff tested numbers in 22 were 272. In 23, 295. In 24, 366. And in 2025, year to date, we have already tested 271 people for various professional staff positions. That number does not include the 121 call takers that we have scheduled for testing. So we are barreling in the right direction. And a lot of that, all that is just due to the tremendous team that I get to work with every day, and I'll introduce you to them later on in the presentation. This is our investment in our long-term strategic objective. When I got in this position, I met with Chief Graves, kind of my vision, and that was we needed to cast a bigger net. When I got here, I didn't think that we had enough recruiters to do what I solve the problem the way I thought we should solve it. And that was,
I need more people to cast a bigger net. We needed to reach more people. So she granted me 3 additional recruiters, and it's worked out really well. They've done a tremendous job. That strategic objective was to increase our academy recruits, those bigger class sizes. That's what we wanted. But that tactical goal, that shorter term last year, which I kind of knew we would need to stopgap our staffing levels last year, was that the laterals and kind of the rehires coming back in, to which I was super proud of the team. We set a KCPD record with 21 laterals and rehires in 2024. So that was so good. I was really proud of the team. And also I thank the mayor, but that investment that city council made in upping our pay and making us very competitive, not only in the area, but nationally, has been a huge deal for us. We hope to see several, for instance, in this next, in the August class that are from out of state. I would say this will be our biggest out-of-state class, if all goes well, right, of candidates that are interested in coming here from all over the country. So I really appreciate the city council and the mayor for that. Additionally, kind of with the investment the chief made, it also made it, our intern program has gotten exponentially larger. We have, we'll be starting 20 here in June, just for the summer internship program alone. But we also run a spring internship program, summer internship, and fall. So we have that intern program really up and cooking right now. And that's actually translated very well into our hiring. Once they intern here, we oftentimes see that they want to come work here. Because the great work that the program does in introducing our applicants to KCPD. So kind of back to my vision of what I wanted to, how I wanted to take our recruiting. With those additional people, we had to get out on the streets. We had to be meeting people. We had to be hitting job fairs, colleges, high schools, anything we could do to spread our name and spread what we do and who we are. And that influx of recruiters really helped. Something that, mainly thing that I wanted to do was, kind of when I was getting recruited for college football, you know, when somebody wants you to go somewhere, you don't just get a phone call, hey, come to KCPD. That's not the way it works. You have to build relationships with like community partners like Mr. Hunt back here. Things are going really well when those relationships start paying off and they start referring their community members and their students. That's ultimately what we want, where we have multiple streams of personnel that are being funneled to KCPD through our community partners and our local criminal justice programs and high school programs, all these things. So that's how you address a staffing issue, is that grassroots level. Now, something that we do in the recruitment unit is everybody that applies, we give follow-up phone calls to. It's not just a, hey, thank you for applying to KCPD, and then that's it. You continuously hear through recruiters throughout the entire process, so that you may not know anybody in KC, you may be from out of the area, but you will know your assigned recruiter. You will at least know one person, and they are your liaison through the entire process. So it does keep them very busy, especially with this recent uptick in applicants. Our 901 sounds like a phone bank from time to time, just all the phone calls out there. But as you can kind of see, all the things that we do go to, colleges, T-Mobile, military bases, high schools, we hit it all. And prior to this, we couldn't have done that with the staff we were assigned, so I'm very grateful to have that additional staffing. This is a quick breakdown of the application process for LE, or the employment process. You know, you have the application, take the written test, the physical test. From there, if you pass both of those, you go to the polygraph, then into our background investigation, an interview, and then you're given a conditional employment offer, and then you go for a psychological and medical evaluation. When we get you through all those things, you're then ready to go to an academy class. So that's just kind of a quick breakdown of our system. All right, now this is they come in early, they stay late, they come in on the weekends. So this is not a 9 to 5, kick your feet up job. They work very, very hard, and I'm very grateful. Them up and running. Terrence Brown, he's our military guy. He was a Marine Corps recruiter prior to coming on the department, so he relates very well